Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. I am Cassandra and this is
Mom.
And we are Millennial Mom and we are going to talk about Married at First Sight, Season 12, Episode 12, Must Love Dogs. And I actually enjoyed this episode. You know why I enjoyed this episode, Mom?
Why?
Because we got to see a little bit more of Eric's personality. And I'm just like, everything I said about him is coming to the light. How you feel about your boy Eric?
How do I feel about Eric? I was disappointed with Eric this week. Also, he started a little bit last week with the way he's talking. It's becoming more and more condescending. The steps are getting higher. And when you do that, you lose the message you're trying to deliver. And is it me or did Eric look like he may have been inebriated a little more from what we've seen? I don't know what was going on. He was a little different. It seemed like it. I'm not taking away his behavior and things he was saying, but he seemed a little different when he first came on camera.
He did kind of seem like it, but before we even get into their part, let's talk about Brianna and Vincent. So when we first see them, because they're the first couple on our screen, they seem like they had a really good time with the boat last night. Brianna was impressed with Vincent. Vincent was pleased with himself. I'm like, go ahead, show us a cute couple in the bed.
All I wanted was somebody to show us positive progress. That's all I've been wanting to see.
Do you think Vincent is showing you the positive progress that you need?
I think he might be more aware of the things he might be doing that may not be best for the relationship, but I guess we'll start him somewhere.
I thought it was funny when he was in the bed. He was like, well, when are you going to take me on a date? I'm like, she did. And you didn't like it. And she was even like, I was thinking more so along the lines of a dinner and a movie. And he was like, no. I was like, girl, don't take him out on a dinner and a movie, please. Because he's going to have an attitude. Don't do it. He said the cigar place. He want to go to a zoo. Let's start there.
Right.
Nothing that you want to do, Brianna. You know this. We know this. So now let's talk about Eric and Virginia. Their whole conversation, it started off about basically her and her dog, Rocky, because he said, we had a really good night last night. Everything was good. But Rocky was on the bed and he was like, Rocky needs to be trained a little bit more.
Well,
by me.
Actually, the conversation to me started off real random because they talked about, of course, the month anniversary, which all the couples did. And then he led on to, well, the dogs and your cats I need to meet. And, my dog Tex, he does really good on a leash. And he does good when he's not on a leash. And, but your dog Rocky, he's jumping up and biting people. He has a behavioral issue. And I think you need to take care of that. And she's like, what is going on? Even though it's like, how did it get from the month anniversary to the dog needed a dog trainer? Like, what was happening? And then they finally jumped to the scene that happened clearly the night before. Now, it looks like or seems like they were out maybe at a bar or with friends or something, and apparently Virginia disappeared. And Eric originally said she disappeared for 45 minutes. And then he said you disappeared for 30 minutes. And I'm like, what? Like, make it make sense. But Eric seemed like he was inebriated, didn't it?
It did. His eyes were a little bit low, but he was more so like, how do we get back to the bar situation? Because he was just talking about the dog Rocky and what Rocky's going through.
Yeah.
But everything he kept saying to her was like, if you don't like this, you can leave.
You know what? Virginia got up and she walked out and told producers like she can't deal with this, crying upset and stuff like that. And at that time I was like, you know what? She needed to walk away, go somewhere, because Eric was just like off on a tangent. And it's like, Eric, one, what are you even talking about? And two, did you have to even bring up the dog? Now we know that Rocky was and is an emotional support dog for Virginia when she was going through some sort of depression, because she got Rocky when she was going through those times. And Eric doesn't seem to care or validate or is even empathetic to that. And I was just like, you know what? I don't know what's happening, but she ended up coming back in and getting back in the bed after she calmed down. I was like, wait a minute, that's just too much for me, because I don't know if I would go back in the bed. And then Eric's trying to convince her like, I'm here for you, but at the same time, if you don't like it, you can leave. And I'm like, well, which one is it, Eric? Which one is it?
Yeah, and also what surprised me with Eric, because I already knew that he's controlling. I already knew that he talks to her like he's the dad. But then he was dropping a whole bunch of F-bombs and all the other stuff. I'm like, Eric, that's how you talk off camera, and now he's talking like that on camera. I'm like, no, this is an issue. And Virginia's over here having an anxiety attack, and it's like Eric, like he said, he don't really care.
I was very disappointed in Eric in this particular episode. Like, I can't explain how disappointed I was in him, because originally, I was like, he is insecure, which he is insecure, and he's scared about what's going on. But just the way he was told her to continue to leave like 4 times this complete episode without being empathetic to the reasons why she has the dog. Yeah, he probably does need more training, but the message that you presented, I'm not here for it. And that's the first time I got that from Eric in this capacity.
I've been got it. The same way you feel about Haley is how I kind of feel about Eric. Moving on from there, we finally see Claire and Ryan do a Tantra class. Is that how you pronounce it?
I think the lady said Tantri, but either way, same thing.
I'm happy that they actually got to do something with physical touch, because let Claire tell it, they don't be doing nothing, so they say. But even with the class, it was like, why? It was awkward. You already know Ryan really wasn't here for it. He's over here making like weightlifting jokes, like, oh, this is how I feel when weightlifting. I'm like, that is the last thing somebody sitting on top of you and she's trying to get some D from you wants to hear.
Not just D, she's trying to get romance. She wants to be romanced. And then,
I haven't heard romance from her.
Everything else comes out later. Well, that's true. I'm trying to make it sound nice.
Don't.
But the thing is, the conversation at that point in time, awkward. I mean, for someone that just screams disconnect. Oh, weightlifting joke and this and that. Like, what? You're supposed to be in tune breathing. You're supposed to be in tune trying to, match your souls together, stuff like that. That's how you know that this is not it. That connection that Clara wants, that she thinks comes from the bedroom, that's not it.
Well, even in the confessionals, Ryan was like, yeah, I like yoga, but does this make me want to do something else with her? No. Right. And even Claire realized it too. She's like, I feel like, this was basically a waste of time. So later on, when we see them back in the bed, you can tell that Claire is frustrated.
Yeah.
I kind of feel bad for Claire a little bit. I know you don't really, because if the roles were reversed and she keeps being really, really pushy, it will look really bad. But I kind of do feel bad for Claire in a sense.
I don't feel bad for Claire because of just what you said and what I said last week too. If the roles were reversed, this would be a huge, serious issue. It's such a double standard. But another reason why I don't feel sad for her is because...
I didn't say sad. I said bad.
The reason why I don't feel bad for her is because if the only thing she can talk about is sex,
what more do you have to offer?
What more do you have to offer? And I think Ryan is getting that energy, that vibe, and that's why he keeps saying, I want to get to know you on another level, like a trust level, a personal level. Wow. So that's where the disconnect is, in my opinion.
But now let's move on to Jacob and Haley. So based on the conversation they had at the 1 month anniversary, she thinks they might be headed to divorce. I'm like, you didn't hear what he said? He said in about 4 weeks, you don't got to worry about it. Period.
I heard what he said. Haley heard what he said too, but Haley is trying to deflect what he said and not really take in the whole truth and nothing but the truth, because Haley thinks that things are going better than what they are, and I'm just trying to figure out how she sees that.
On her end, because, she said that she's trying. But I thought it was really interesting on the couch that Jacob, once again, was the one to apologize to Haley for how he acted, because, yeah, he was being negative, but Haley hasn't really been trying. But she don't see that.
But I've said that before. Like, Jacob has apologized from the honeymoon until now. Sometimes, there's a saying like, will you apologize or say you're sorry even if you didn't do anything wrong? I think Jacob falls under that category. But here's my thing, though. Haley comes across as if she doesn't do anything wrong, and I don't think Jacob should keep trying to apologize. Again, I think they're going through the process, and I think Jacob's trying to make it an easier ride to get through the process to keep Haley happy. But I don't know. It's just not equal in that relationship or the process?
Well, right now it kind of seems like he's gonna have Haley take the lead. Like, okay, so what does Haley want to do to get them out and actually have the reset that they need?
Yeah.
Because I think Jacob's tired of Haley.
I think, again, it's the process. I think that Jacob is willing to do whatever it takes to get through these couple weeks for the process, to say he tried to do everything. You know, he's apologizing to her and see what she wants to do. Let her take the lead since she likes to have control, and see if it's going to make her open up and be, you know, even for a hug, make her happier or something. I don't know, but he's trying. But when we do see them in other scenes, we learn that Jacob's been a little bit petty around the house, though.
A petty boots. True, but now they must have heard our prayers. See Paige meet with someone in her family, and that is her brother. So I guess she hasn't been informing her family on what's been going on. But when Paige did decide to inform her brother and his wife about, Chris decided to work it out with his ex and get a divorce with me, their reaction was like, oh, really?
Well, the sister-in-law, her mouth hit the floor, and she seemed more sympathetic to Paige and like what was going on. But the brother was kind of like, well, you know, things happen, and if this isn't for you, you know, pretty much God has something for you coming down the line. I mean, you have a lot of life to live. I mean, look at, you learned this now. You're going to be in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s. You'll look back, this is not even going to matter. So he really took it a little bit more calm than I thought he would.
And very positive. It was very nice. It's just not how I thought it was going to go.
Correct, because maybe had it been someone else, you know.
Like Brianna's family. Her
Your
mom
family.
would be on that.
Look, your family.
Brianna's mom would not play or
No,
Brianna.
I'm not playing that game. But you know, he was a positive influence for her. And I can see how they mesh as a family dynamic. Now you can kind of see it the way the brother talks about things too. Paige does as well. So I can see how
they're thinking.
Yes.
And that's all I gotta say about that one, because I'm like, But then we have like this really short scene. I don't know why they showed this scene or felt like they need to show it.
Because all these episodes leading up to Decision Day are filler, so they got to throw anything they can.
But all of the wives have dogs, so we each see all the couples do something with their dogs. It wasn't really that
But it wasn't the couples, it was the guys. All the guys are now new dog dads, you know, trying to, I don't know, relate to their new doggy sons and daughters.
What I wrote on that is Vincent likes Cookie. Jacob takes care of 4 dogs, but don't really care about Haley's dog. And Haley's dog better not bite his dog because, you know, somebody got to go.
We know who that is.
We already know how Ryan feels about, you know, Claire's dog. He's over here trying to get some extra training to bond with the dog, but not bond with his wife. And Eric don't like Rocky at all. And Christopher, I mean, he don't give 2 poops about Paige's dog.
Yeah, but we knew that early on.
Because he don't care about Paige. And then we see that face from Pastor Cal.
He's like,
well, you put him on the show. This is your fault.
Well, partially your fault.
Mixed with the other 2 experts. It's y'all fault on that. So don't side eye at the camera. Then we finally get to a scene with Vincent and Brianna once again. They're finally going on that bike ride. I was like, I am so happy that they're doing something that he wants to do together.
Yeah, well, he got the bike because that's what he likes to do. He's trying to get more healthier and
on a fitness journey.
But they're making a wager, like, you know, we make it to the destination, like, you gotta give me 500, give you 1,000, do push-ups, this and that. So
clean the house.
It was a friendly wager, and it turns out that Vincent actually let Brianna win it. And I thought that was nice. I'm like, okay, Vincent.
It was nice, but you know, she still compromised anyways and did 5 push-ups. I was like, girl, if that was me, if I won, it's just on you. But we already know how they do in that relationship. So now moving back to Eric and Virginia. Virginia says to the confessional, you know, I don't think one fight should end it all. So she wants to keep trying and working it out with Eric. And Eric, when they do have that sit-down conversation, he's like, I don't know what led to this. You know, I don't know what I did to lead to this.
I just have to keep saying it this episode, and you know, residue from the last episode. I'm really disappointed in Eric. I just really am, because he just seems like he's oblivious as to why. Now, maybe
he's not oblivious. He's trying to put everything on Virginia because Virginia needs to change. Virginia needs to do this. Virginia needs to do that. But Eric, you know, he got the nice house. He got the nice car. He has a nice life. Like, how come she doesn't want to do this with Eric? But it's not all about what Eric wants to do. It's about what Virginia wants to do too. It's a compromise, and I see Virginia compromising a little bit more for Eric with each episode. And Eric's just like, well, you need to change, or you know, you can leave. Like, there's a door.
that's true. But what I said was he seems like or acts like he's oblivious, and he's not. He's not oblivious to what's happening. He knows, and he's making it seem like it's his way or no way, my way or the highway. And Virginia is trying to compromise. And one thing I said in the very beginning is that Virginia, you know, even though she may have an alleged, you know, alcohol thing going on, she wants a fairy tale. She wants one. And I think that she's willing to try to do anything she can to get that fairy tale, because she says that she knows that she can feel that Erickson is in her corner, but she doesn't like the way that, you know, he's trying to tell her or have her see that, you know, listen, you need to do it this way or no way. See, that's what she don't like. But Eric, I think he needs to pull back a lot, because no one wants to hear that if you don't like it, leave all the time, especially in a brand new relationship. But then later on, we also see them in the kitchen again talking about the same thing again. And Eric's like, you know I love you. You know I love you. You know I'm just here for you.
But that was before, when she was trying to deflect on the couch, going back to Rocky, because then they bring the conversation back.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, Rocky, don't do that. He's trying to get the bone. And then Eric is like, are you done? Are you going to listen to me? Like, what's happening? So then she storms off. And then behind the scenes, we can hear him say, oh, you know, you're the one who's acting like an a-hole. Not to me, to everybody.
Yeah.
I'm like, Eric...
But the entire scene, from the morning to the evening, it all culminates the same thing. They never got past that whatever happened the night before. It just led up to the whole day. So it doesn't really matter like when it occurred. It was still the same song from Eric. And, you know, I was on Virginia's side this time. I was on her side because I'm like, you know, you can tell she's trying. You can tell that she's emotional about these things. You can tell that she's at her wit's end trying to please Eric.
So then all the girls except for Haley and Claire meet up, basically just talking about how their marriage is going. Paige says, you know, she's emotionally drained, and, you know, she could walk away sooner. She realizes that she can't. But now, you know, she's an independent woman.
Well,
she can do this on her own.
Congratulations for now. But the thing is, you know, just the whole conversation in general, just to break it all the way down, it came down to mental health issues. And how Virginia was saying how she wanted to maybe talk to a counselor because she feels more anxiety, more on edge, just by not just this process, but just things in general, trying to relate to Eric and everything that's going on. And then we learned that Bree talked to a counselor before she came on the show to learn about herself. Right. And then we learned that Paige has 2 counselors. And I'm like, girl, well, how come you didn't contact somebody during the show,
so
during the honeymoon?
She has 5 professionals
helping
to
her.
Help her.
Yes.
And we don't really see anyone helping her. Child, I wonder who those 2 therapists are for. I gotta know. Then we go to another scene again with Jacob and Haley. And I wasn't surprised that Jacob was cooking steak again. But how many steaks did he need? How many steaks did he have?
It looked like there was about 3 steaks on his plate, and Haley had salmon. But I think the point of conversation and the point of this particular scene was to show them interacting in a positive way. That's what I mentioned last week. I want to see something positive with a couple.
Well, since this is what you wanted to see, did you get what you need from their scene?
Well, besides they had positivity while they were cooking together, interacting, and, you know, like, making small talk, even though that was still awkward. But when they had their date, when they went to the go-kart thing that Haley set up, you know, she's like being competitive. She's like, you know, I got you, stuff like that. You know, Jacob is dry, yes, but Jacob was going along with the flow. And you know what? It seemed like he had a good time. Haley definitely had a good time. But it also seemed like that Haley's family goes go-karting every year. So this is something that she does. Like, she's competitive. So it kind of reminded me of like a Vincent. Like, you do something that you're good at, and we're good.
I think you found lots of positivity in that, because to me, Jacob was not here for it. He was there, to go along with the ride, but he wasn't having back and forth conversation. He wasn't really interested in anything else. I'm like, Jacob, I thought we was resetting.
I'm trying to find something positive from that scene, and it was. But again, they're not a match. Jacob's checked out. He's here for the process. So that was a positive for them that we haven't seen since week 1.
Speaking of Haley and Jacob, they also had another scene with Vincent and Brianna. And it was a cute couple stay at the pumpkin patcher picking flowers and stuff. Of course, Haley talks about, how their marriage isn't going the best, but they are kind of trying a little bit.
Yeah.
But I thought it was, once again, very, very telling with the scene when she was like, it seems like whenever I tell him stuff about me, he kind of just shuts down, and we see a flashback to when she was talking to him about her going to, where was it, Taiwan?
Somewhere.
Some Asian country, and she had pad thai and massages, and he was like, so that Sunday cleaning.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
Well, like I said earlier, I'm like,
he shut that all the way
he
down.
had petty moments because he's checked out. I mean, Haley, in my opinion, has been petty since the honeymoon. So
I just don't like Haley.
I think not necessarily. I think that Jacob has been getting his digs in, so whenever he can, he will. But what I did not like about that scene with Bree and Vinny, Haley and Jacob, is that Bree, after she was with Haley, she went with Jacob, and Vincent went with Haley as if they were counseling each other. And I don't think the couples should have to be, like the strongest couples have to counsel or maybe mentor other couples. I think that's where the experts should come in.
Yeah, they shouldn't be given questions from the producers. It should be the experts and them doing what their job is. But Vincent did try to give Haley some sound advice, saying, it's always about the message and how you give it off and how someone else receives it. And I was like, Vincent, isn't that the pot calling the kettle black? Well, but you know what? Maybe he's growing, and I'm here for it if he is.
Now, before we jump to the final scenes, we have Chris meet up with his mom.
I mean, I feel like that scene was pointless, if you ask me.
Yeah, a little bit, because he's really not part of the roundabout show with Paige, so...
Well, he made it to where he's not a part of the cast. He did that to himself, because the only thing that we learned is that his mom pretty much already knows what's going on with his ex, because she was probably the one who called her on the phone, was like, girl, my son got married.
Right. All that. Yeah. But Chris is trying to make it seem like, they don't connect, him and Paige don't connect because, she don't accept his calls or his texts, or she's only available for the cameras or stuff like that. So, me, Mom, I don't deal with stuff like that. When I'm done, stuff like that. She's like, yeah, I know. But here's my thing. What you mean when you done? You've already told her you weren't attracted to her, XYZ. She's just finally done as of last week because she kept accepting you back. Yeah. You were just playing basketball.
Yeah, because you was trying to pull her in, talking about Bible study, God, and she's praying for me and all that other stuff. Like, Chris, let's not play coy. You already know what's up. And moms know what's up too. She not fooling me. She never fooled me since that wedding at all. I do not... Their whole scene, they could have just threw it away because nothing was said that was interesting, nothing new. Like, he's at his house. He's not even at their house. He's at his house. I'm like, camera people,
but you know what? His mom was like, well, maybe you shouldn't have did this. If you had something else going on, you shouldn't came on the show, and Chris co-signed that. But overall, Mom agreed. Maybe he ought to move on. Moving on to the final scene, we have Eric. Eric is meeting up with the guys, and finally we see Eric, in my opinion, at the joint apartment, because Eric likes to flex at his own place. So I was like, okay. So
what do we see Eric at his place though? I never seen it unless I'm not paying attention. But I think I'm pretty much paying attention.
Well, when he has date night with Virginia, sometimes they're at Eric's house. That's why he wants her to move there all the time. But anyways, all the guys are there, and you know what conversation comes up?
Except for Christopher.
Except for Chris. The conversation about being dog dads comes up. I'm like, that's the only thing y'all got to talk about?
Yeah, because that's what this episode's about being dog dads and stuff. But it was interesting because they're trying to relate being dog dads to their own relationship. At least for Ryan, he was. Because Eric went on a tangent about how Virginia's dog is basically untrained and unkept like his dog. And you know, since they are now married, it's their dog together. It's not just her dog. So, you know, he has to do something with her dog too. I'm like, chill on her dog.
I think he wanted the guys to co-sign his point so he could go home and be like, you know, Virginia, I mentioned this, and the guys was like, yeah, that's true. They weren't having that. Did you see Vinny's face and Jacob's face? It was like,
yeah, Jacob's face would have been my face the whole time. Like, oh, okay. But what Ryan took from the whole things with the dogs is that he's not as organized as Virginia. There's just some things that they just don't have together that should be together. But in the same breath, he says, hearing everyone else talk, that he has the best relationship, not only with all the guys, but in Marriage at First Sight history. He is a part of the 99% club. And I was like, he's joking.
I was like, no, he's not. He's serious.
He's joking.
Why would he say that on camera? Ryan,
he's trying to be funny.
Only thing that Ryan joked about was that weightlifting at the Tom Tree. Ryan is always serious. He's very literal. He wasn't joking. And I was like, what show are you on?
Not what show, what world? Because I'm just like, that is so crazy. But then later on, when he goes back to the house with Claire, you know, he's trying to kiki with her, telling all the business that happened. And Claire's just like, oh, okay. You know, I do trust you with my dog. You know, that's a really big thing. And Ryan's like, yeah, trust. That's something you need is trust. And she's like, okay, you know, you got that trust. You know, what else can I get? And he's like, a foundation. You know, we got to set this first. And then other things will happen, you know, because we're already going on a good path. And Claire in her confessional is just like, what world is this man living in? He's acting like everything's all rainbows and sunshine and all this other stuff when it's really not. So then we really got to hear at the very end of the episode what Claire really thinks and what Claire really feels.
When she was on that vent session with the ladies. And you know what? That has broken the circle of trust as soon as Ryan finds out.
And she kicked out the circle of trust.
Yes.
But overall, what did you think about this episode?
This episode and all upcoming episodes, except for maybe next week when we actually get to see, is it Dr. Pepper?
Dr. Pepper, Dr. Viviana, and Pastor Cal.
I think they have been pretty much fillers because, like I said, the first half of the episodes were Chris Page, and now with the last 3 weeks, we're starting to see the cracks in other couples, so it's hard to gauge.
Well, I don't think that's a filler. If we're finally seeing the other couples, like especially with Eric and Virginia, those aren't really fillers to me. So it actually was a pretty good episode because we got a lot more information. And I can't wait to see Pastor Cal and Chris's conversation next week. So thank you all so much for watching this video. Let us know what you guys thought about this episode in the comments down below. Make sure you like this video, hit subscribe if you haven't yet, and share this video to other people who watch Married at First Sight.
Thank you all again for watching, and as always, live simply, be grateful.